Hey guys, this is Ashley Victoria. Welcome to Fucking Phenomenal, and I am with the one and only Jodie Sweetin. Hey lady.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I'm almost perfect. How about you?
Yeah, I'll go with that. I'm almost perfect. I'm almost perfect. No, I'm perfect. It's just my own thoughts that sometimes get in the way. I'll say that.
Perfectly imperfect, right?
Exactly.
Ah,
Exactly.
sweetness, awesome. Well, guys, I said sweetness. Ha, okay, sweet.
Ah,
So, guys, you're watching. As you guys know, Jodie Sweetin is the Stephanie Tanner from Full House, one of our favorite shows growing up. And if you have not seen Full House or Fuller House, recommend it. So getting right to it, girlfriend. Tell me,
yes.
how did you end up getting the role of Stephanie Tanner? And did you know that how successful the show would become?
I got the role of Stephanie Tanner. I was 4 years old, and I had done a guest appearance on another show called Valerie with Valerie Harper at the time, and it was the same executive producers that had Full House in development at the time. So the show hadn't come out. It had like nothing had happened with it. And I did this guest appearance playing the next door neighbor Pamela Poole, and I played her, and the producers loved me, and from that they cast me as Stephanie on Full House. So it was sort of this really lucky accident. um, I was one of the first people cast on the show, and then you know we didn't when we first did the show and we had our pilot. We didn't know if we were even going to get picked up for the first 13 episodes.
Yeah.
Um, Critics hated the show. They were like, "It's cheesy, it's family, we've never been a critic favorite because we're not edgy. It's Full House, it's family television, but we've always been an audience favorite. And really, it was our audience that came together and was like, no, we believe in this show. And after 13 episodes, we got picked up for more. We finished out our first season, and then sort of momentum got picking up, and people really started loving the show and relating to the Tanners. And then from there, we successfully went on to do 8 seasons and then 5 seasons of Fuller House. So
Nice, nice. What was one of your favorite episodes?
oh man, it's funny when I think back on my favorite episodes, it was usually the ones as a kid when and even as an adult when we got to travel. So we did an episode of Full House when we went to Hawaii. We did
Yeah.
one where we were in Disney World, San Francisco. Those were always fun because it was like family vacation sort of. It was like we got to go do something outside of the stage, and we got to go travel all together. So those were always my favorite ones, and I think there was just something there was a great vibe about those episodes because it was Tanner was going on vacation, and in real life we were all sort of on this weird crazy like extended family vacation. That I think there's something like really sweet about those episodes, and about sort of the Tanners outside of the household.
Nice,
Plus,
nice.
they
Well,
were really, really fun to shoot. I mean, as a kid, to like get to go to Hawaii and Disney World and all these places, and I was like, this is amazing.
awesome, awesome. So, okay, so the show ended in 95, and now I was like the fourth grade when the show ended. Um, and I was like, what? Because at this time there was really no talk about Fuller House, and there was no talk about anything like
Yeah,
afterwards, right?
yeah.
So
It sort of Full House just sort of ended. I mean, even for us, they didn't really give a. They told us that it might be picked up, that we might be going somewhere else, and really, it was about 2 weeks before we shot the last episode that they were like, it's not going
it
to work
was
out
so
anywhere.
tearful. It was, I remember
Yeah.
it. Like, it was like, okay, all right, Godspeed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So now because of that, we personally hit some rough patches, which
Mm-hmm.
you have been opening and what you shared about. But what I want to know, I guess, or our audience want to know is who or what was it that helped you get Jodie back?
Oh wow.
I mean, it could have been like, a series of events, but
It
like, what
you know
was
it
that?
was I'd say it was a series of things because my journey of like getting myself together, like I think most people's are, there's not like for a lot of people getting sober and getting sort of back to who they are, it's not necessarily like a light switch flip where you're like, there's the before and the after. Some people have that in their story where it's like there was just one moment and then from then on everything they were like, oh, I got my shit together. That was not my case. It took me a while, and it took a lot of doing it for other people. It took a lot of, oh, I need to get my shit together for my parents and for this relationship and for, you know, for my friends and for, you know, and even after I became a mom, you know, for my kids. And I think really it was sort of it I had to grow and change and shift a lot. You know, I was adopted at a very early age, which I talked about in my book. Um, so I had, you know, I was adopted around 14 months old, and I had a really interesting background. You know, my birth father was killed in a prison riot. My birth mom was in jail when I was born. So I had, you know, I was sort of bouncing around a lot in the first year of my life. And I think a lot of that, I don't think we often take into account those things that affect us and our mental health and our well-being and how we view ourselves if we don't remember them. You know, we're like, well, that how could that possibly affect who I am or how I view myself or how I attach to relationships or all of those things? I don't even remember it. Like that can't be important. And I think it really took like almost to about 30 to kind of undo all of those things and those expectations, and then also growing up in front of, you know, in the public eye, who do I want to be, who am I for myself, not for public consumption.
Yes.
And I think that's something that I'm still going through. I mean, I still wake up and I'll go on social media and go, this is bullshit. Why am I doing like this isn't even real. Like this is so stupid. Why am I so upset about this? But you know, my family was always there. My parents, God bless them, my mom and dad, you know, who are my adopted parents, but my mom and dad, yeah, and they went through a lot. You know, parenting is not easy. And I look back on it, especially now that I have 14 and 12-year-old daughters, and I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God. I call my mom on a regular basis just to be like, I am so sorry. I didn't get it, and now I get it. But you know, it was knowing that I had that support no matter what. Like my parents could be mad at me, could be disappointed, which is worse than being mad when your mom's like, I'm disappointed. You're like, oh God, oh. But it was knowing that no matter what I did, I was still worthy of being loved. And I think that was something, and again, is something that I still struggle with today. And so it's an ever-changing process, I think, getting to that place where you feel okay in your skin. But I couldn't have done it without my family. I couldn't have done it without my daughters, who are amazing, wonderful human beings. My friends who have seen me in some really dark moments and loved me anyway. You know, I that support system that was always there for me was huge. And I knew that, you know, even though maybe sometimes in my heart I felt I didn't realize I felt unlovable, in my mind I always knew that I had people there, and it was, and I was getting love. But whether or not I thought I was deserving of it at all times, that was really sort of the struggle to catch up. But I couldn't have done any of this without my parents, without friends in 12-step programs and therapists, and, you know, all of those people that really got me back to tapping into who I truly am on the inside, regardless of what the outside looks like.
That's really that's really important, you know, that you mentioned, you know, having that support system, having, you know, those people that are there for you, not for TV Jodie, but for Jodie. And I
Yeah.
kind of remembered, I actually interviewed international model and a breast cancer survivor. Her name was Christine Handy. And
Uh-huh.
when she, you know, got diagnosed, obviously it was like, whoa, you know, taken back. And then when she decided to have a mastectomy, you know, going through her chemo treatments, going through radiation, she said, it wasn't the industry that was there for me. It were strangers and my family. And she said something along the lines that, having her family and her friends and her strangers genuinely supporting her, helping her get through, one of the toughest times of her life was a wake up call for her, knowing that she didn't have to put on this front anymore, for the industry.
Yeah.
She could just be Christine and be herself. And people still like that and wanted that. And so going back, to support the foundation, it's always going to be, yes, an ever-changing process, because
Hmm.
who comes in and out of our lives, situations that change on a daily basis. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a never-ending process, but coming to your roots and to your core and knowing who you want to be and where you see yourself is obviously, extremely important. Uh, and so speaking of that, speaking of words of wisdom, unfortunately, we early this year, we lost, our family dad, Bob, and
Yeah.
he sorry, he had always been someone that, you can just when I read about him, when I see him in, performance, I know that you get this too, that, yeah, he's a great man, but not all of us have seen who he was in person, right?
Right.
So since you've had that relationship, that had connection, what were some of his words of wisdom that you picked up on, or just things that he did that left a lasting impact to you?
One of the things that Bob was always really good at was making sure that you knew that he loved you. Like, whether it was at the end of a phone call, I love you too, I love you more. Like, that was just who he was, and it was genuinely who he was. Um, he would make a stupid joke and then be like, oh my god, I'm sorry, like, and then obsess about, like, oh, was that too much, and you're like, Bob, calm down, it's fine. He was always worrying about others, and every text message you would send, he'd be like, hey, and he'd send this whole long rambling thing. You go, by the way, it's Bob. And you're like, I know. But that was like, that was sort of the running joke. Like, he did that in the days before, it showed up on your phone or whatever. And so, hey, it's Bob. And then he just never stopped doing it. So you would always get these text messages of like, hey, it's Bob. By the way, I love you. And you knew it. He would tell you, he was proud of you. He told his kids, he told his friends. And I don't know if it was something that he ever like explicitly said to me, but I know it was something that I picked up on from him, and how to laugh through tragedy. He
They say
was
laughter is the best medicine.
he went through a lot. I mean, he was one of 5 children, and when he passed, he was an only child. His parents went through a lot of loss, his family went through a lot of loss. And he learned how to take comedy and transform that. He lost his sisters both of them, while we were filming Full House. And he always told you how much he loved you. And it's something that I have always done. I've always been the person to be like, hey, I just need to tell you, like, I love you, or like, I'm really proud of you. But I've noticed even more so since he passed that I've really made an effort to do that. And I was really glad. I just had that happen recently with a friend of mine who was a writer on Fuller House, who had given me some opportunities to do some stuff recently, and who I was friends with, and he passed away suddenly, about a week and a half ago. And I'd been trying to FaceTime him that morning, and I just didn't get a hold of him. But I stopped, and when I found out he passed, I stopped and I go, what was the last interaction that I had with him? And I realized that it was a very Bob thing that I did, and that we were standing outside of his car talking, and I just told him how proud I was. I was like, dude, you got your second comedy special coming out. It's my friend David Arnold. And I said, I'm just so proud of you, man. Like, you've worked, I know how hard you've worked. And like, you're running a show now and you've created it. I was like, and there's just such an amazing space for like your talent. And I'm just so proud of you. And I know how hard it is that you've worked to get here for like 20 something years. And like, it's just so awesome to see a friend succeeding. And that was one of the last conversations I had with David. And then that happened. And I went, I'm so glad that someone like Bob taught me the lesson of always say what you mean, and say it now, and let people know how you feel about them now,
Oh, that's awesome.
because
It
it's
was
it's worth it.
yeah.
And that was, that was always Bob. Like, he told you how he felt about you and how he loved you right then. And if he needed to say he was sorry, he didn't let it wait. He told you then. And I'm always grateful for that. I'm grateful that that was the person who he was.
Well, that's great. Well, now that you've taken that, you can help others, understand how important it is, to tell people, that they are appreciated, that they are, that you want your friends and you want strangers. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
all want to see you, see people succeed. You know,
Right.
I don't want, to be in competition with anybody because like they say the world's a buffet. It's enough for us all, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's so just cheering for someone else and supporting someone else doesn't dim your light. It doesn't
No.
make you any bigger or
No,
smaller.
there's that mentality of lack. I think is something that we need to get away from. I mean, yes, we live in a finite world with finite resources, but love is not one of those things. Love is not one of those things that's finite and that there's only so much of. And we just need to remember that. Like, just because I love this or I love that doesn't mean that I can't love more than
Very true. Very true. So last but not least, Jodie, right? What advice, now this is a question I ask all my guests, is what advice can you offer to other women, who are looking to fulfill, maybe their acting dreams or just go up on the corporate ladder, to succeed in their, in their own journey in life?
First of all, I had this conversation the other night with four friends of mine who I love and adore, all of us women in our 40s. And I think the one thing, particularly that women need to hear, is that it's not too late. You're not too old. You're not too,
Oh,
there's no timeline. There's no, like, none of this bullshit. And we all sat there going, oh, well, I'm 40 now. Like, it's kind of late to, and we were like, wait. Late to who? Late for what? Late how? Well, I just figured this out about myself. How am I now late to the party when I just figured this shit out 2 years ago? You know what I mean? Like, there's no like timeline of like by 45 you got to be successful, you got to be married, you got to have kids, you got to have shit together.
oh.
None of that is true. None of that is true. And it applies for men as well. Like, for human beings in general, there's no fucking timeline. Like, get it out of your head. Success comes at different points in our lives, and it's not like a straight line up like this. Like, it goes, it's back, it's forth, it's up, it's down, and that's okay. And I'm telling myself this right now. That's okay.
Oh, trust
But
me, I am listening. I am listening
but
because
I think that we limit ourselves by thinking, oh, well, I mean, why would I go back to school now? Like, I'm 40. Like, what am I gonna? Well, hell, you're gonna hopefully be on your way to 50 regardless. So you could get in school, you could try the new job, you could try the new relationship, you could do the new thing, you could make yourself happy, you can give your gifts to the world now, or you can get to 50 and be like, well, shit, now I'm 50 and you didn't do any of it,
I'm so glad that you
and
said that. Like that means like, and I tell my friends this too. Is like sometimes I do feel behind. Like I do
I do
feel like
too, all the time,
I'm not. Yeah,
all the
like
time.
like why can't I get to this point that I've worked 10, 15 years for? Like how much longer do I have to work? Do I have to put in to get that? And granted, I trust the universe. I know that she puts things and people
Mm-hmm.
in our lives at the right time, the right reason, just like she
Right.
takes them out. So I'm trying to trust this process in this journey that I'm on. And I need to stop comparing myself to others. So you're right, it's never too late and we have to
It's never too late. And I think success, I think we have an idea in our minds of what our success is going to look like, or what success in general looks like. And it's usually attached to some sort of outer thing. And what I'm trying to realize more and more and to be more present for is that the success of life, like it doesn't mean that I'm going to work 15 years, get to a point, and then that's it. The pinnacle has been reached, and I'm good, and I'm glad, and I can cross that off my list, and I'm done. And I forget that, like, because I have this linear mode of time in my mind, that I think that it's always supposed to be going up and forward, you know? And what I've learned is that sometimes the success is being fully present and in love with where I am and who I am at that moment. And not that, oh, once I get X, then everybody's gonna know that I'm good and I'm this and I'm that.
Now.
It's
Be
be
happy,
grateful
be
now.
yes. Because karma
Be
is
happy now.
right?
Be happy. Yeah, yes. Be happy now. Be as present and in the moment as you can, regardless of the situation. And sometimes that's really fucking hard. Like sometimes our situations are awful and ugly and painful.
Yes.
And I'm not telling people to like be like, oh, I'm so glad that I lost my job and my house and but there is an inner success that comes with the resiliency of walking through whatever it is that life presents to you and taking those steps one in front of the other and realizing that like life is now. It's not when you get to that point. It's not like it's happening right now. This is it. This is all you get. Do it. You know what I mean? Like love, laugh through it. Like that live, laugh, love bullshit, you know. But like it's true, you know what I mean? Like I find myself when I am truly in my moments of joy and laughter and just acceptance, regardless of what the situation that has been presented to me is, I realize that I am successful in that moment.
I like
That
that.
I am successful in that moment. And there are days when I'm not very successful at being a mom. I'm yelled at everybody in the house. I'm PMSing. I'm ready to just stab people. Like it's all bad. And I'm like, oh, and I go, but you know, well, we made it through the day and we can start over again. And like at any moment I can start over and like reframe where I'm at. And it's not always easy. And sometimes I try it and I'm like, nope, everything's still shitty, just not happy. And that's okay. But don't forget that like life isn't this thing that starts happening once you get to a point of success. Like it's happening right now in every moment, in every interaction, whether it's with the person that you're buying the coffee from, whether it's someone on the street, whether it's, you know, the person next to you on the bus, like whatever. We never know where those connections are going to happen and what we might be doing not only for ourselves but for someone else.
For sure.
And you know, it's just it's a ride, man. It's an adventure. It's weird. Some days are really awesome. Some days are really not. But like this is it. This is the short little ride that we get. So let's really try and like stay present and fight that battle of our heads telling us that it's not enough, that we're not enough, that it's not the thing that we wanted. It's not, you know, and it might not be. But it's what we got. And so how do we realize our purpose in day-to-day life? You know? So that was a very long-winded answer, and I don't know if it made any sense, but it was like, this is I'm feeling it. This is where we're going. But yeah.
No, girl, it's perfect. You know, but again, because people need to hear it, and you know, people need to be reminded that we're not alone. You know, we all have shitty days, and you know, we all have that little irritating thing on our shoulder that's telling us,
All the time.
yeah, you know, so, but you know, we need to hear it from other people. We need to hear it in different versions, you know, to be able to absorb it and to just repeat to ourselves every single day. But I love that you say, you know, be present in that, you know, be here, be now, and like I think that's really I love that. Sweetness. Awesome. But Jodie, you are amazing. I am so thankful for you to be on our show today. And
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Ashley Victoria. Really appreciate it.
Of course, of course. So everyone, check out, the episodes, of course, from Fuller House on Netflix, and we need to find a way to get the original episodes of Full House on like Hulu or
They're not, they are, well, they were on Hulu. I don't know if they still are. They were on Hulu. Fuller House was on Netflix. I don't know what happened. I think now GAC TV has some episodes of Full House. I don't know. I think it's still on at Nick at Night. I know it's out there. So
it's out there.
I know
You
on
guys
some
need to
streaming service
YouTube,
somewhere you can find
Google
it.
Figure it out, right?
Yes, it's there. I promise.
Unfortunately, we don't have LimeWire or
Right, so we could spend 3 days downloading one episode and have someone pick up the phone and ruin it all. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have that anymore. But
all right.
I love that you brought up LimeWire, though. I'm like, oh yes.
Well, thank you so much, girl. We really appreciate you. You continue to make your magic and do your thing, and we will see you around.
All right, sounds good.